Yeah.
Hmm.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Happy
Well,
new day.
yeah. What's so happy about it?
I Trump did one thing so far right. One
I
thing.
don't know.
One thing.
I don't know.
Bombing, doing that bombing was absolutely the right thing for the world and for the Middle East.
All right, says you.
We
Says
shall,
anybody who has any sense.
Okay.
we shall see,
We
says most people who see wars start.
yeah. We'll see how we all feel
The
about
Middle
it.
East particularly seems to be a bit of a quagmire.
Yeah,
They spend a
yeah.
lot of time there.
A little bit.
I
It's fine. I know we're gonna
as
US
somebody
America's gonna America. I got it.
as
I got
somebody
it.
who has a lot of connection to the Middle East,
All right,
I
whatever.
know for a fact
You know.
that the Iranian people are celebrating this.
Some of them and I know that too, and I get it. But it's extremely complicated issue, and it's not there. You can totally debate so many different angles of this to just make a broad declaration that, of course, this is awesome. It's awesome, and I'm glad you feel that way. I appreciate how good
So
it must feel to have a sense of
so how do you
of
okay,
security.
okay, I want to hear
I
you
don't
out.
want I don't want to break it down. That's the fun part. Like I don't know. I don't. I'm hands off right now. You
Well,
can if you want.
I'll step in. First off, they were
I,
scumbags. It was an awful authoritarian regime. It is an awful one. So yes, they deserve to be removed.
You guys are frozen.
Their people are suffering
You guys were
immensely.
you guys were frozen. That's why I have
Oh,
no idea what you said.
okay.
come,
We
come closer,
coming
Steve.
through now?
Come closer.
Yeah, we're coming through now.
Happy with
Yeah.
the camera.
Yeah, first off, the Iranians, awful regime. Terrible regime. Been fucking brutal to the women there, particularly. The Iranian people, they deserve better, much better. I guess the question then becomes how to go about doing that. And my thinking is, I mean, there's a couple angles on this, but it's interesting. I saw a guy who used to work with the IAEA, and his take on it was they've done the enriching. What they've enriched could fit in the trunk of a car. So they could have moved it out of those facilities some time ago. And again, the way that Trump is such a moron and broadcasting it well ahead of what's going to happen, they could have moved it anywhere. And it does not need to be centrifugally, whatever the word is on that, enabled space to actually do the final step to weaponize it. It can be done in a very small space. So the way it was done, I appreciate the technical skill required. Amazing that you can drop it within a meter of where you want to hit the thing. They're still trying to figure out how much damage was done to it, but I'm not so sure that it was we'll find out. I could be wrong, but it's quite possible there was nothing there when they dropped the bombs on it, or at least nothing that we were trying to take out of there. So that's part of the problem. Then we can talk about all the other shit about him getting out of the treaty that Obama negotiated, which, according to the inspectors, actually were on site, was working very well. We could at least have eyes on it.
I agree on that part.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, which is something we don't have now, where it's kind of in the dark. So, if we didn't hit it, then what's the next step? Are we sending troops in? You got to have
We're
somebody.
No.
exposed to terrorism
Yeah,
now, and they've
right.
also doged all the people that are protecting us from terrorism. So the FBI has been
Hey,
kneecapped.
I said he did one right thing. I didn't
I
see
know.
Yeah,
that
yeah,
he
But,
did anything right
but is
around that.
but is that right then? Now that we're, shouldn't we have shored up our own intelligence before anti-terrorism intelligence before we expose ourselves to such terrorism?
I think
Is
he
that
was
the right thing to
relying
do now? You know what I mean? And
I
he's
think he
relying on
was
people who don't.
relying heavily on
Pete
Israeli
Hegseth?
no, on Israeli intelligence
Okay.
because the Israelis actually have people on the ground. We know that.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, we presumably they're somewhere embedded in the Iranian infrastructure.
Mhm.
And I of all the both genius and ironic things that could happen in the world, they literally founded and man the agency that was supposed to prevent Israeli spies from getting in.
Hmm.
You
Oh
know,
yeah.
so I think you have to look at it from a strategic perspective. You have to look at all of the insane like damage the Israelis have done in an extremely short. These are things that people, other intelligence agencies from around the world, have been trying to get done for decades,
Yeah, but why?
and they were
A
able to
lot,
do it.
like why? You know, like
Why?
yeah.
Because Iran is the biggest threat to the Middle East out of anybody. They are the funders of all of the terrorist organizations in the Middle East. They are the ones threatening their neighbors, not just Israel, but they were doing it to Syria in
There's
the
so
past.
many non-violence works in over
No, it
2%.
doesn't.
It does. They approve it
Not when you're
because
dealing with
we don't.
radical Islam.
Again,
You
I don't
don't
know. I don't know if we
understand.
know that. I think we believe what we're
Yes, we
told by the
do.
military people. I don't know.
Yes,
I don't know
yes,
if
we
we do.
do.
I don't
We
know.
do know that
People
because
don't
we
want to
under
fight. People don't want
people
most.
who
I know that most people
understand
don't want to fight. So
people.
I refuse to
You
believe
are not.
one
Then
way.
you are on the wrong page with these people. They want to fight. They
No,
want to
I
die.
understand. I understand. But that's
Then
it's
you
the
do.
world we've created, right? But they haven't
We
in the
didn't do that.
hold
We
on,
didn't
in
do
the
that. No,
thousands
no,
of years,
no, 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 no,
in
no,
the
no.
thousands of
Stop,
years we've all
stop,
existed.
stop,
In the thousands of
stop,
years we've all existed.
stop,
There have been a
stop,
gazillion
stop,
different
Hold on,
ways that
hold
we
on, hold on.
stop.
each
Hold on.
other.
Technically, we are responsible because we replaced the democratically elected leader of Iran in the 50s.
No,
That's
we
how
are
this
not.
started. That's how this came about. Yeah.
This particular incident, yes, but radical Islam was
Every
around
I know.
long before
But you know
the
what? We
US did
created the world
anything.
I'm
for it.
just
We colonized. We created the world for it. We made this
No, we
system.
didn't. It
Yes,
was
we did.
already there.
That's
no
It was already there. I know the history
I
of
do.
the
You know,
region.
and I do
to,
too.
there's
And I've
ma-
read lots of
You
books as well. Yes, I have.
there's many histories
Tons
of the
of
region.
books.
Yes.
I love
Yes.
it. I definitely. So I'm aware of all kinds of history. I'm aware of have you read The Dawn of Everything? Great book. They explain how man for millennia we've been able to go back so much farther than we ever have in archaeology now. And we're seeing how these societies existed in these wonderful government systems that were absolutely bizarre. And half the year the guy would be a totalitarian fascist guy, and the other half the year he would be a servant in a a socialist kind of situation. There were all kinds of ways that we chose to exist as people. And when things got hard, we could just move on and they'd just break off and a new weird government would form. So
That is not how radical Islam
we are suffering from
works.
a lack of imagination, and we're suffering from a rigidity of the way we look at our past. And you are
I'm looking at the
very shiny and bright to me. So I'm getting a lot of that here. That I know history, so therefore I know. And I think that's how we all got here. And I know that you know history, just like there's so many people who know history. But I could talk to a different person who knows history and they could have a different and equally convincing viewpoint. And that if you don't know that about history, then you don't go back far enough. You know what I mean? Like, we all
let's
gotta check ourselves with what we
take
know.
a deep breath for a moment
Yeah.
because seriously, I have direct connection to the region. My people have been dealing with it for centuries. Like
Not
I
that's not a,
know
there's many
many
ways to tell
of
history. There's many ways to tell history.
And
Courtney. I'm sorry.
let Corey be
Yeah,
the
yeah.
example of that.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I'm here to listen.
Yeah.
So please, be you Corey, please Corey.
radical Islam, not all, and let's be clear, I am not referring to the mainstream of Islam.
Well, let's be clear that like I am this, yeah, okay. But in many times people's silence represents agreement, and I would like to just make sure that this is more of an educational platform where I'm unaware and I'm listening, and our silence is not going like, yeah, this is definitely totally 100% true, but it's also not saying this is bullshit. I wanted to hear this perspective, as I realize the truth is many perspectives. So please just there, you don't have to qualify yourself so much because I'm you have all the leeway.
I want to qualify
Okay,
that
good.
for any Muslim listeners out there.
Okay.
Radical Islam has been a plague within Islam for centuries. Long before World War I, World War II, when the Ottoman Empire was broken up. And it's never been addressed within the Islamic community in the way that it should be. Until it is, and radical Islam is a violent death cult. Like, there's no way to qualify that.
Fair enough.
You cannot deal with a violent death cult the same way you would a rational actor.
Agreed.
There's no debating them. There's no saying we're going to make your life better, with funding or any of that.
Yeah.
They don't care.
Yep.
They want a global caliphate in which all non-Muslims, and by non-Muslims, they actually include your regular average day Muslims, because they don't believe that any other ideology is acceptable.
I understand what
other than their own.
I understand fundamentalism.
Right? Okay.
It's fundamentalism. So they believe there's only one pure way to see things, right? So they are stuck in their fundamentalism, and everybody else is out there and an enemy of them, right? Is that what you're getting at?
Yes.
Sort of like Christian nationalism.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right. But for some reason, we don't have other countries coming into our country bombing us because
because they don't really have that much power.
Well, they're doing,
and frankly, I have no problem.
But
I have no problem
bombing your neighborhood because they think that people that are fundamentalist Christians.
That's not you are in the wrong basket.
Just saying.
The people that.
Every religion has their fundamentalists. I'm just saying every religion has that desire.
And this isn't about mainstream Muslims. This is
that's not about mainstream Christians. It's fundamentalists. You know what I mean?
Okay. And I think that things should be done about fundamentalist Christians.
I know, my point is that every religion has their dangerous portions. Every religion can be taken to an extreme.
You're absolutely right. The difference is that these people are taking action.
They got empowered by things that we did. They have been empowered in the world structure that we created has allowed them to become this powerful because of the situation that we've set up where these part of the world is denied funding, it's denied all kinds of shit. The white people grab all the good stuff and take all this. I mean, that's the way we have done this. So
that is not true at all.
A section of the diseased world that we have created. They do not exist in a vacuum. They are not they are not aliens that are coming out. They are
the hell they're not.
They are parts of us. They're humanity that has evolved like this because of the situation of the entire global situation. That is what we are dealing with.
You're wrong. You're wrong.
Let's focus in specifically on Iran. We can all remember not that long ago, their populace was in an uproar. Women were fighting back. People were upset with what they were doing. To my mind, yes, you can keep them through diplomatic means, ostracize as best as you possibly can. You can negotiate with them behind the scenes. You can do those things because they are sitting on a powder keg over there, which is not comprised of fundamental bloodthirsty Muslims.
And nobody's saying
Hold
that.
on, hold on. There are many, many stripes of people over there. I get the impression that their populace is by and large not happy with what those assholes are doing at the top.
And you're right.
Coming these guys and starting a war in the region, to me, is way counterproductive.
Again, it's because you don't really understand the situation. The everyday Iranian people want help getting rid of
I understand that. Yeah, I know. I understand that.
Not
some
by
of them
starting
are,
a
like-
war necessarily.
No, and then
That
they
is the
also-
only way to do that, because
Did you see how many came out in the street?
we have taken out their military, their centralized military brass.
We'll see. But did you see
This
how
is
many
giving
people
them
came
the
out in the
opportunity
street?
they need.
Yes, but did you see how many people came out in the streets to protest? It was a shit ton.
Are you talking about
In
the
Tehran, or whatever, right? They all-
women life?
I don't know. I just
freedom?
saw it over the weekend. They all came out
Okay,
to
over the
protest
weekend.
United States and to protest the aggression from the United States. So they were not welcoming. They were not happy.
Those are
Again,
those are
you can't
IRGC stooges that
I
are propaganda.
I don't know. I didn't
You-
see everybody dressed in the thing. There were actually some regular. I
They don't have to. That's not how it
just-
works
I
over
don't
there.
know, man. I don't know. You seem very, very secure in what you know, and in
Yes,
the
I am.
area where
Because
the experts,
I've
area where the
spent
experts frequently
decades
sound a lot less sure of what's going on. So just check.
because they're viewing it from a Western lens instead of from a Middle Eastern lens.
Oh my God, are you saying you have a Middle Eastern lens? How long have you lived in the Middle East, Corey?
I've spent years in the Middle East, number one. Number two, I still have family in the Middle East that I talk to every day, if not every other day. I have family or friends in the Middle East that I talk to every day.
That's
I have
fantastic.
friends in Iran that I used to talk to until very recently because of the Iranians' actions of shutting down the internet.
But you agree there's more than one way to tell a story, right?
Absolutely, there is.
Okay.
That's
all we're saying. That's
Where
all we're saying.
are your peeps here? And
Yeah.
where did you live in the Middle East? Let's hear some history. What do we got here?
I've been in Iraq. I've been to Tel Aviv. I've been to Jerusalem. I've been to Haifa.
You've
I've
lived it.
been
You've
no,
lived
I've been to Haifa, not lived there.
Army experience, your military experience is where you experience.
Yes, but like I
No,
wasn't.
that's fine. It's totally. Oh gosh, no.
I wasn't military every second of every day.
No. But do you speak one of the languages at all? Can you-
I've spoken several of the languages. Not very well, but
you know some words here and there, but you didn't live.
it's been a little more than that.
You couldn't hold a conversation.
About the same way I do with my uncle who's Cuban.
But that's an answer. Would you say something in what is it, Arabic? Is that what you speak? Do you speak what are you what is
Farsi,
your Farsi? What is
I
your
don't speak Farsi.
Not even sure what the language is.
there's many languages.
Yeah.
Many languages.
There are many languages.
Right. So yes, so you've got, and where your family where do you have family in Iran? You say, are there friends in
No,
Iran?
I have friends in Iran.
And that, yeah.
What you want me to know?
Just curious. No. I'm
They
just curious
are?
for everybody is like I've got a relative in Ireland, but just by marriage. But I don't have anybody that I know. I have a friend in I don't have anybody that I know in the Middle East that I could call up and say whatever. But if there was something happening in Germany, I'd be able to go, oh, my friend, I've got someone in Berlin, and I have probably Rosanna's people in Frankfurt.
Mhm.
You know, I could get, I would be able to dial in there. So do you have anything comparable that you wish to share about your experience in the Middle East that would help give us clarity as to where your perspectives are indeed coming from?
Are you talking about like outing where my friends live?
Outing? I didn't say like a whole city. You can't name a city. They're in like they're tiny. I'm just asking. I don't know. You had to be so cagey. I would share. I feel this is cagey. Is this cagey? Are you being sketch? You don't want to talk? Okay, we want to talk. It's very scary. All right. Outing people is not the same as saying I know somebody who lives in Frankfurt, but okay,
Yeah.
we won't push.
Well, let's start with what we agree on. Nobody wants Iran to have a nuclear weapon because their leadership is fucking insane.
No one wants anybody to
Let's
have a nuclear weapon.
start there. I think we all agree. Everybody I've listened to so far says, yeah, no Iran, no nuclear weapon for Iran.
Or Trump.
Yeah, but again,
Did you say or Trump?
yeah,
I agree.
It doesn't really, it can't be trusted either.
Aside from that asshole.
Yeah,
Honestly, I would prefer that if no one had a nuclear weapon.
Thank you. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, and it has very little to do with this particular situation, and it is one of these slippery slope arguments, which I always have issues with because I'm like, well, slippery slope, how the fuck do you know what's going to happen in the future? But it does sort of make it seem like it's being, like this is crossing a line into like making it okay to bomb your neighbor if you disagree with them. I know like the nuclear weapon thing is definitely different, but the whole like let's not even worry about anybody observing any kind of international, like we're actually negotiating with these guys and all of a sudden then we're participating in a bombing with them. So I mean it makes us look like assholes, like we're untrustworthy, but it also makes it look like it's okay to just go ahead in, like India and Pakistan were almost at each other's throats. We don't want those dicks being at each other's throats either and just deciding, oh, you know what, I'm just gonna like take a shot and try to decapitate your regime. I mean, like to me it's like it opens up
the reality is though that in reality, Iran has been at war with Israel for at least, well, technically by because they've declared war back in 1979, but like physically in a real world sense since October 7th. Matter of fact, October 7th was part of their war against Israel. It's not just going out and bombing your neighbors for the fun of it. This is a way, a means of self-defense that directly goes to the heart of the problem. Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis, these are all like arms or parts of Iran's military agenda. Their agenda is to destroy Israel. Full stop, period. Like they've never said anything otherwise.
Well, I guess my question then becomes, that'll be wrong. Yeah. So my question then becomes, is this the only way to do it? Is this the bombing seems to be the shooting it and the bombing? That seems to be, I don't know if we've tried any really thing else besides that. I mean, I'm no expert on the Middle East, but it seems like Israel has not really been working a whole lot on the diplomatic front on these kind of things. And the other thing is Netanyahu.
Why is
there's another point coming down the line here. Netanyahu is concerned, like Trump, with holding on to power.
Absolutely.
It seems awfully opportunistic to me.
And it is in several different ways.
Mm-hmm.
Very opportunistic.
Mm-hmm.
But let's address the first part first.
Mm-hmm.
Israel has been trying for decades.
How so?
To do diplomatic solutions.
How so?
With Iran. There's been all kinds of back channel conversations to try to get the Iranians to back off of this.
Back channel, meaning we don't know what was involved.
With as far as directly with the Iranians. A lot of Israeli back channel is the US.
But they've
I'm not finished.
They've never tried to negotiate directly with Iran in public, is what you're saying.
There haven't been any summits or anything.
No summits. They haven't tried any of that.
No, and Iran wouldn't want one.
How do you know?
Well, I told them.
They've regularly said our ultimate goal is the destruction of the state of Israel. They failed to recognize the state of Israel. You can't. And
isn't the Ayatollah almost on his way out? They're saying he's really losing a lot of power.
Currently, yes,
Yeah, they say he's like,
because of
they're tipping
because
him, which is why this event was so welcomed in a lot of circles because
Mhm.
they're tipping the guy out. But as
Mhm.
Steve pointed out, it also did cause a lot of fear and anger, who they would prefer diplomacy, sanctions, etc. So,
Or
you know,
just working with allies in the area and trying to cut them off.
the Iranian people have been asking for the outside world to help them for a very long time. They don't have the luxury of diplomacy, of waiting another 10 years, of waiting another 20 years. Just in the last, like, what year, they executed like 900 and some odd people
Yep.
just for being dissidents.
Yep,
Mhm.
yep. It's terrible. Women
They
can't
don't have the
drive.
luxury.
And they used to have everything, right?
Yeah.
There used to be like such a cosmopolitan
But
city.
again, I'm not sure.
arts.
I'm not sure what they're asking for is war.
They're asking for us to topple the regime so that or
I'm
help
not
them
sure
topple
they're
the regime.
asking to have bombs dropped on, because there's going to be a response, and I have a feeling it's going to widen. I don't think now that we have air superiority, the Israelis do over their airspace. I think it's much more likely that this actually spreads. I think it can become, yeah, I mean, it's easy to start a war. So again, nobody wants these guys to have a bomb. It's just how to do it. And I don't think that this is the best way to do it.
Sometimes you have to pull the Band-Aid off. Just
That's
pull it
not a
off.
good analogy to
Yeah, it is.
possible World War III. I'm sorry. It's not.
It's not going to be World War III.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
Every other country in the region, with the exception of like Qatar,
Mhm.
and even them, they're kind of hedgy,
Mhm.
has been defending Israel, which is something that I honestly, in my lifetime,
mean,
never thought would happen.
yeah. Well, I don't know. It seems to me that the Russians have a very self-interest in Iran continuing. It seems the Chinese might also have that interest. I don't know if the Chinese, who knows if they come in or not. I don't know. Again, we can all be very triumphant about it in the 24 hours afterwards, but down the line, again, lots and lots of risks.
Let's just save this conversation, and one of us can do the "I told you so's" later.
Sure.
I just asked Chatbot.
Mm-hmm.
I will happily accept your "I told you so's."
Mm-hmm. Sure.
I would. I would happily accept your "I told you so."
Oh no, I'm just like I wouldn't. Yeah, I would save the Cheshire Cat grin for a later time if I were you.
I'm not. I am now because of you're being funny.
Yeah.
There's some interesting stuff. Yeah, the mood on the ground and how are Iranians reacting? Mood on the ground. Many civilians experience shock and panic, mass exodus, widespread fear of escalation and radioactive fallout. However, a significant minority, especially those frustrated with the regime, express relief and even joy, viewing the strikes as a blow against Iran's clerical rules. From international reporting, there's a quote that says, "We have no fear. Even if there is a war, it is still better than the situation we are in with this government." And other people saying, "I've not been this happy in 10 years. But number 3 issue is its deep polarization. Some Iranians were seen cheering and saying death to Khomeini and hailing the strikes as a sign of hope. At the other extreme, pro-regime crowds also rallied, chanting death to America, calling for retaliation and echoing official positions. Could this radicalize the moderate majority? Absolutely. While disillusioned citizens might feel momentary relief, surprise foreign military strikes often bolster support for hardliners. This is a classic rally around the flag moment in Iran. Public fear and nationalism tend to surge after such attacks, allowing conservative elements to argue only they can defend Iran. Experts warned that such aggressive tactics limit space for moderates, push the regime toward retaliation, and reduce additional internal pressures for reform. In summary, the public mood in Iran is deeply divided. Shock and fear coexist with pockets of relief and from regime critics. However, foreign strikes will often backfire by empowering nationalists and hardliners. In the midterm, this could stifle moderate voices as security concerns override demands for change. What to watch for next? Domestic politics, will moderates be sidelined? Will the regime accede to calls for de-escalation or clamp down harder. Militant escalation, heightened missile drone threats, especially from the IRGC, Hezbollah, or Yemeni's Houthis. On regional ripple effects, global oil markets, shipping through the Strait of Hormuz, U.S. Homeland Security warnings, and shifts in diplomatic alliances. Do we want a deeper dive? It can give us other news and information. That was the chatbot brief summary or deep dive. We pay for the pro version, so
Could be-
for what
could be
that's
any-
worth.
could
Could
be
be anything. Could be hallucination. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily. Well, I don't know about the data that they gave on the who supports the regime or not, because my impression of that, like from like the polling that I had seen, was the regime had like 10 to 20% like favorability.
It's so hard to
And
know
this was
what's going
and
on,
this was
even in the United
during
States with our polls. You know what I mean? Our polls are
and I agree.
so-
And so
and across
you
the
know,
world. I mean, I don't know what a poll really means.
but now I do think that it has the potential to radicalize some of the moderates, or it could push them to see a possibility of a future without
Right? Or does
the
it
regime.
does the fear of more attacks make people make reform less likely because people just want to give them be safe, people give up rights when they feel unsafe.
Here's the other thing. The crown prince in, like,
Saudi.
but no, the Iranian crown.
Oh, the one that's in hiding or whatever. Since
Yeah. He's made several statements to the people of Iran. I don't know if they've received it
factors in.
because they've cut off the internet in there, so I don't know if they've received it, but certainly it has rallied support outside of the regime within the Iranian community. Regardless, like, I don't think it's a good idea to ever side with a regime like this.
Reza Pahlavi's messaging reached Iranian citizens.
Did it?
I don't know. I asked it.
Oh, that was the question.
Yeah. So it said inside Iran, state media ignores or denounces him, labeling him an illegitimate instrument of Western influence. Tight network controls and censorship mean his statements via X or international media have very limited penetration among everyday Iranians. His calls for step-by-step post-regime transition and a democratic future resonate with opposition groups abroad. He's a symbolic figure for international media and the Iranic diaspora, though critics within Iran view his monarchy-linked family as tainted, noting his family is universally hated in Iran. But those are his, In Western political circles, advocates in the U.S. and Europe cite him as a voice of democratic alternatives for the area. Think tanks and policymakers reference him as evidence that credible options exist beyond the clerical regime. His influence, however, is very limited globally and in the Middle East. So,
and that's unfortunate.
A little bit of hope there.
The unfortunate thing is that the people are being censored, like they're not able to get that information. That's a shame.
Yeah, and we're being censored.
I thought I saw. Yeah, Musk had turned on Starlink, didn't he?
I don't know.
I think he was beaming Starlink signal into Iran.
Is he still around? Is Musk alive still?
I had heard something about that, but I didn't know like the validity of it, and like,
yeah,
I mean, I don't even know how well that thing works. So,
and how well would you receive it if you don't have a dish? I don't know.
Yeah, because you do have to have a dish, right?
I thought so, but I don't know. Because I know that he did deploy it on the Ukrainian battlefield, so I don't know how much. I'm sure they had some kind of receivers in the troop level, but I don't know.
Early.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. They did have laptops and shit. Yeah, the Ukes are pretty clever and pretty sharp outfit. But yeah, that would be cool if he could broadcast some alternative news or real news, I should say, into Iran. Get around the
Well,
censors.
I just remembered something that the Israelis had done a few days ago. Maybe it was a week ago. I don't remember. But they had taken over like the airwaves
Hmm.
in Iran for at least a brief period of time.
Hmm.
And we're like transmitting like, like information, which is actually I think why there was such an exodus from Tehran, because
Right.
like the strikes that were in Tehran were very like high precision.
Hmm.
Like they wouldn't have caused that much of a panic, like for everyone to exit, other than Trump, I believe it was, or maybe it was Rubio, told everyone to leave Iran or Tehran, and potentially, if the Israelis were responsible for doing that, taking over the airwaves, they could have broadcast that
Hmm.
message as well.
Yep, yep, yep. Hmm.
So, anyways,
Who's the guy that you were following on Facebook? Well, no, he's the Gaza
Yeah,
Israeli
yeah,
guy, right?
yeah. Your
Okay, he wouldn't
guy.
have an opinion on that.
I don't know. We could
In-
see. Let's see if he said anything.
I believe he has.
Let's say home. Oh, there it is. All right. You can disagree with U.S. foreign policy choices. You can oppose war in the military-industrial complex. However, the men and women serving in the U.S. military do so for a variety of valid reasons. They deserve respect, support, and understanding. May they be safe from Iran's attacks. Okay, let's see. Iran knows that well that a military strike against America's targets would generate blowback, which very may expedite the regime's demise. Khomeini must choose between survival or suicide. Separately, Hamas in Qatar is likely having a rough day. Why is that?
Wait, why is what?
Why would Hamas and Qatar be having a rough day?
Because they're funded by Iran,
Oh, okay.
and a lot for the most part, they take their marching orders from Iran.
Yeah, and Russia would suffer too. I don't know if their drone supply is going to be replenished as fully as they would like. So that helps the Ukes.
All right, I have no love for the Iranian regime, and I certainly don't want them to have nukes. That said, Trump's actions have both counterproductive and unconstitutional. By withdrawing from the Iran deal during his first term, he set up the situation. By attacking, he destroyed any chance of a negotiated settlement. And by attacking without having been attacked already, he violated the Constitution, Article 1, Section 8, that gives power. Oh, I'm so sick of that. It never happened. I mean, come on now. Yeah.
I mean, all of those are potentially true.
Yeah. That's what I mean. It's just so complicated. I should just kept my mouth shut. I never know what anything about. I mean, it's just so complicated. And not only that, but it's complicated and we're always being manipulated. I feel manipulated all the time.
And
That's I
we
feel
are. But that's why it's so important for us to like hash things out like the way we just did.
Hmm.
Even if we were talking over each other, and
yeah.
like it's better that things like this get hashed out between friends,
Hmm. Hmm.
that before we have to, face somebody who's not even willing to listen at all.
Yeah, and there's a lot of that going around.
So much of that going.
Yeah, and again, I think
It's where the manipulation.
there are
You feel like guilty listening to the wrong stuff, and then you don't hear other stuff.
yeah.
It's fucked up. Sorry,
I,
Steve.
well, and I try to spread my reading around. I don't just read like left leaning
I try.
stuff.
Okay.
You know, it's probably the majority of mine, but I still, read, the Post, the New York Post, and like
Mhm.
other, further right, stuff. I'm a little less uh solid in my belief in the impartiality of organizations that necessarily are claimed to be in the middle, such as AP and Reuters.
Yeah,
You
right.
know,
Mm, yeah. Yeah. I hear that.
yeah, that's why I think they really need to bring back media literacy into school. I don't know when they took that out. I don't I don't.
Well, I think
Well, people have to actually,
they also need to change the funding structure because Facebook just knocked out the funding structure for news. I mean, now they're just chasing
Yes,
dollars and engagement. And to me,
yes.
whoever's got the most dollars and who's the most angry gets the news. I mean, it gets the news.
I'm a firm believer that social media has been one of the most destructive like things in the West.
Yep. Yep. And you know what pisses me off? Just Facebook. I don't know about the rest of them. I'm sure this works.
As we talk all day social media.
Right, exactly. Yes, of course. But it just pisses me off that they are so committed to just this exponential growth that they'll just go into countries that they have nobody who speaks the language, nobody knows what the context is of what's going on between various groups and factions, and they just, and the infrastructure in a lot of these countries doesn't exist, so they're all relying on Facebook. And it's like, what the fuck? Like, it's like like it's like throwing matches into a powder keg. It's like eventually one of them is going to catch. It's like what was the Myanmar massacre? It's like you guys, like, really, you take no responsibility for getting into a new market and having no way to understand who the people are or the
But that's like the number one like issue with like you know any of these protesters, any of the like these so pundits is a lot of times that they don't think actually know half as much as they think they know
Hmm.
about the region. Like they've no cultural like understanding, you know, you know what I mean?
I do, and I think that goes back again to like I think they just want to talk to just have something to say and not necessarily be informed because like being informed is boring. Like the truth is boring compared to
it
here's
is.
my hot fucking take. It's like the sports morons who are just like obviously he's depressed in his head because his girlfriend she didn't offer to stay with him or they broke up or whatever. It's like how the fuck do you know what's going on in their head? You don't have any idea. And but it's just all
Yeah.
hot takes. It's like, okay, here's my hot take. I got another hot take. It's like everybody's trying to up one another to be the ones who are breaking the news. That's the other thing. 24-hour news
I
cycle.
agree.
Like
Like
instant boom, boom, boom. Let me have a take on something. You don't even know. It hasn't even settled yet, and people got a take on it. Like, what the fuck?
when I was in school, like it was more important to be right
Yeah.
than it was to be first.
Yes. Absolutely. Because
You
it's
want
just
to be first, but
yeah.
it's more important to be right.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, it's funny because Carolyn mentions the old newspapers in Philly where there was a morning edition where you broke the news, and then there was the afternoon or evening edition where you analyzed the news. So it wasn't like it wasn't all just constant breaking and being at the front of the line kind of bullshit. It was like, okay, let's take a moment to try and what does it mean? Let's think about it. Like
Yeah.
again, because it wasn't a 24-hour news cycle. It wasn't like give me the immediate sugar rush. So
Uh,
yeah,
I
absolutely.
was going to say something, but it's like the way like the news media has dealt with the Israel Hamas conflict.
Yeah.
How many times? Like they're constantly having to apologize or retract, things that they say,
Mhm.
like the day before, or the week before.
Yeah.
You know, get it right the first time because you're fucking up has real world consequences.
hmm hmm
Yep.
Yeah, and I wonder, because of the nature of the actual space there, how many journalists do you actually have who are on the ground, actually seeing it, talking to people, doing the footwork? I think a lot of these people are just sort of,
They're relying
they're calling on their
Hamas.
sources, which who knows,
Yeah.
they may or may not be there. They may or may not be plugged into the latest, you
Well,
know?
even when they are, they're often Hamas operatives
Hmm.
acting as journalism, because you can't operate as a journalist in Gaza unless you're in the graces of Hamas.
Mhm.
Right. Right. And Ahmed, the guy we both follow, or you talk, he has a article in the Washington Post, an op-ed about now is the moment to finish off Hamas and free my Gaza homeland. So it's just from like 2 days ago. I don't
Mhm.
know what it's about because I don't
I missed it.
paywall. I don't have the damn pay. I have a pay. There's a paywall because it's a Washington Post, so I don't know what he might have meant.
Hmm.
So you don't have any workarounds.
I could ask him about it, but I missed it. I didn't even.
Yeah, it was June
Yeah.
20th, so it was interesting. I was wondering what
Yeah,
the
and I
time was, and what he meant.
and again, it's so, even like just as a larger point, I would have, I mean, if it wasn't for the fact that they did have to chase the advertising and the clicks and all that stuff, I would have, if I was a news organization, I would have pulled out my White House press reporters a long time ago. I mean, when this idiot's been in, I mean, first term and second term, I don't understand anything he says or his spokespeople that has anything to do with anything. It's all just nonsense and spin and accusing people and being talking down to people. It's like, are we really getting anything from any of these news briefings other than the fact that these people are obviously off the rails? I mean, like,
The funny thing is back, in his first administration, when I was actively reporting on things,
Mhm.
um, we had received like a lot of reporters, that do coverage of the government, had received like a notice that we should treat this administration as if it were and like we were in an enemy state where repression, like where there's a
Mhm.
repressive regime in power,
Mhm.
and that you should follow the same sort of protocols that you would under that.
Hmm.
Where did that go?
Right?
Like, what happened to that?
Yeah.
Like, it didn't change. Like, it's still a largely repressive regime.
Sure.
It's
It's
worse now.
still,
It's
yeah,
worse. Yeah.
it's still, you know, like fancifully lying about everything.
Yeah.
So why aren't we treating it
Right.
like that?
And that's the other point is you're spread, and when you think you're outing people and telling the truth, you're not really getting anybody. You're spreading their lies. They're counting on you to spread those lies. No one's watching after the press secretary says blah blah blah, and then you're like, well, we brought on a couple experts to talk about that, and they keep talking, and it's like, no, the lie is already out there. People will
Yeah,
see that clip, and you'll see the chyron at the bottom saying, oh, this is blah blah blah.
Yeah.
The truth is buried under there in the thread somewhere in the conversation.
Yep.
It's a follow-up. It's again like the whole thing about the retraction is on page 17 when the main story
yeah.
is on the cover. It's like, don't, you're not going to catch it. You can't catch up with it. It's like, and spreading it, that you're part of the problem if you're spreading the lie. So I don't, yeah. So anyway, yeah, that makes total sense to me. Treat it as a repressive regime, like you're talking to Baghdad Bob or whatever the guy's name was back in the day when we were
I
up.
remember
Would,
that.
would you go both sides with that guy? Like, oh, wait a minute, maybe he's got a couple of points here.
Unfortunately, we have our own problems here in the US.
Oh, yes.
The though I did hear something recently that Trump said, something about now they're not gonna go after the farmers. Is that true?
He said that and he took it back.
Oh, really? He took it
But
back?
yeah, it was like a day and then he took it back. He's like, never mind, I was just kidding.
What a fucking dummy.
He's such an
Like, he
idiot.
is actively destroying the U.S. economy.
Well, what I think probably happened is he says people saying like, oh, the businesses and farmers need help. But then Stephen Miller is like, what? No, we're going for everybody. So he's like, oh, sorry. So then he turns it back. So
I heard a funny takedown of a funny grind up of Stephen Miller the other day.
So gross. He's so gross.
Oh, what was his name? The gay kid from
Hog.
huh?
David Hogg.
No, he's not gay, is he?
I thought he was.
David Hogg? No,
No,
he's
no.
just a dude
From
who
Midas
sucks.
Touch.
Oh yeah.
What's his name?
Which one?
Oh, that's right. There's a
There's a lot of them now.
one that has his own show, his own comedy show.
There's a lot of them have their own comedy shows.
Oh, I'll tell you in a second.
Gabe. Is there one Gabe?
Tell you in a second.
Luke. Luke's on there
remember.
sometimes. Luke Beasley.
That Midas Touch, or was that?
Well, he's his own, but
John-
then he also
Lovett. Jonathan Lovett. Or is it Jonathan Lovett? Yeah, Lovett.
Love it. The liar? Morgan Fairchild. Who lives?
No. From Love It or Leave It.
Oh yeah. Love it or leave it. Okay, I don't know.
He said he was in the process of transitioning to Nosferatu.
He is. What did someone call him? A like a sleep paralysis demon. It's terrible. So gross. So gross.
Then he wonders why
They're
his
so weird.
was it
They're
his
all
girlfriend that
so
left him?
weird.
Was it
Yeah,
his
their
girlfriend
wife.
that left him
No,
for
they're all
Rust?
so weird.
They're
Wife.
such a
They're
bunch of
all
freaks.
so weird. They're just.
Yeah.
Wasn't his girlfriend like super hot?
I don't know. Stephen Miller's wife was. She looks like Vishna's. Like she looks like Vance's wife. It's so weird. It's so weird.
That is weird.
It's so weird.
Shouldn't-
Are they mail order brides? Like
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, shouldn't I?
oh, that is still the
moderate-
thing, right? People
Yeah,
still do that?
yeah. You can do it.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
Oh my God. Yeah, what's gonna happen this week? And we stopped talking about how a right-wing lunatic murdered a bunch of
Yes.
people, and now that's like, what? Oh well, that's not, don't look over there.
Yes.
We just stopped talking about it. I guess it's not a thing.
That is one of the things that I hate about like the news industry anymore.
Well, Trump rides it. He's a genius. Like he just does it all the time. He just
knows.
keep doing all
He
kinds of
knows.
crazy shit. People can't.
Yeah, but
Nothing ever sticks.
He's just really exposed the problem.
Yes, I know.
You
but
know, it's always been a problem.
it is. It's horrible. That's anything that's driven by clicks. Any for profit is gonna fall to some kind of manipulation. I mean, it's just the way it goes.
Yeah.
So annoying. Gosh, so annoying.
And yet, you know what? I still love this industry. I still love the news.
You still have the news?
I still love the news.
You love to know what's going on.
I'm sad about it and I'm angry with it, but I still love it. I'm like an abused spouse that way.
Yeah, you are. You keep going back to it.
Yeah. I think it. Yeah, and it can. I think maybe it has to collapse in a way to come back to something a little better that's not so click driven, and so I don't know how that happens, but that would be
Where
awesome,
is the Tom Brokaw of our day?
right? Or even just like again, like maybe
Sage capitalism, Steve. We're not
Yeah.
gonna get anything we want until everything's on fire. I
Yes.
mean, it's just
Yeah.
we're just spiraling now. This is the death throes.
yeah.
You know what? I mean, even if like the empire itself falls,
People will live on.
people will live on.
People
You know,
and it'll be better afterwards. It really will. That's the beauty. But it sucks living through this time. It really does. It sucks. And it's going to just get suckier because it's on it. I swear to God, I swear to you, we're on a death cycle. We're just right now. That's why it feels so weird. We're going down a drain, and the capitalism is collapsing in on itself. A program, a philosophy, a system of living where infinite growth in a finite world. It's doomed from the start. We knew this was going to happen, so that's what happens, right?
I totally agree. I wonder what comes next.
Right? Let's see. It'll be interesting. But again, hopefully we're not all going to die in the process. And there's just going to be 6 people living in a sewer that are going to be like, we can rebuild. You know, if that's the case, like I want to be in the sewer with the people coming out. I don't want
You
to
want to be the
on
sewer
fire.
people?
I want to be with the chud.
sewer
I want to be the human under urban dwellers or whatever. I want to be in with the chud.
Mole people.
Mole people.
Yeah.
I want to see.
Pro,
Yeah.
pro mole.
Pro
Have
mole.
you guys seen all of the Bigfoot sketches and Yeti sketches?
No, there's a
There-
Facebook page that pops up on my occasionally trying to.
Yes, some of them are
Yes.
hilarious.
We go by somebody that has a somewhere on one of the bike trails we go by, someone has a Yeti crossing sign or like Bigfoot crossing sign. He shows them walking across the trail.
The first one that I had come across was of Bigfoot Bigfoot's first day at jiu-jitsu training. And my response was to retweet or repost that as somebody found my old jiu-jitsu footage.
That's so funny. I know it's kind of insulting. Bigfoot's kind of a slur. Their feet really aren't disproportionately big to their
It's body
body.
shaming.
It makes
You're
it's
right.
body shaming, really. It's not nice.
It's not.
It's Sasquatch. They want to be known as Sasquatch. Okay. That's all
Or
Bigfoot
Yeti.
thing.
Or Yeti.
Or Yeti. Although that's more of an ethnic thing. They're Sasquatch.
Yeah.
They're in the winter ones, so they have their own thing going on. But it's real. It's fine.
But those things are a lot of fun, and I watch those to amuse myself and
Cool.
distract from the horror of the
Yeah,
world.
that's a good one. I look at my cat's an asshole page. So
That's a good one, and it's a very true one.
it is. They've all been
It is a universal truth.
they are kind of assholes. They are. Although there is one cat that I have to say, it seems to have some sort of a sensory issue. The owner put a Batman mask on it as a joke, and
Uh-huh.
the cat liked it and like ran off and kept it on its head. And so when the owner took it off, the cat kept going like, I want, like it didn't seem to, it seemed interested in having the hat back on. So he's like, I break my cat? Like, what's going on with my cat? When the cat just like chilling out, hanging, and it looks like Batman.
That's
so weird.
amazing.
He's like, it takes it off. I swear, I didn't do this. It just does it. So I wish my cat cared to have a mask on, and if it did, a Batman mask. That's the best.
It's not the hero you want. But it's the hero you want.
Indeed. Or a small cowboy hat. Those are
You know
also-
what? I also love like the ninja cats.
Yeah, when you take the camera away and then it comes back and the cat's going.
No. There's like a whole meme of like cats as ninjas.
Oh, fun. That's fun. Yeah, they had AI does like
Yeah, it's an AI thing.
yeah. The baby talking is really funny. I like that one.
Yes, that's really funny too.
Baby interviewing. And there's a good one on the Titanic. They were interviewing people on the Titanic. That was humorous.
That's amazing.
It is. It is.
All right. Well, I think we solved a lot of problems
I think
here.
we did.
We're well on the way to world peace.
Well on the way to the world. I think we settled it. Let's get
All right.
the White House on the horn.
Next week, climate change.
Yeah.
What's going on the rest of
Time
the
to
day?
hit the hookah, Habibi.
Yeah, there you go. You'll find world peace on the hookah. Yeah.
Habibi. That's
Oh shit. Yeah. What's going on the rest of the day? Chilling.
Work.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
fun.
nap and work. Nap and work.
Sounds familiar.
fun. Yeah. Yeah.
Are you guys on production or you guys should be just starting that, right?
Yeah, we're getting a little late these days, but yeah, we've got some
Busy.
other things going on with our print efforts and digital efforts outside of the newspaper. So
Mm.
juggling even more these days.
So much fun.
Fun, good times.
Good times.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, we're amping it up in earnest here with the paper.
Right on, right on.
Yep.
Later.
All right,
That's
man.
fun. All right. Thank you as always. Charming.
Take it easy, man.
Bye.